A storm is coming to the Dutton land, but this time, it's not just weather that will destroy everything, it's secrets buried deep inside the ranch itself, waiting to explode. The ground of Dutton Ranch has always demanded loyalty, silence, and sacrifice. But when a forgotten truth from the past resurfaces, even blood ties start to feel like a curse. The family thought they controlled the land, but they were wrong. The land has been waiting, watching, and now it's ready to strike back. The morning at Dutton Ranch begins like any other, but something feels different. The air is heavy, like the land itself is holding its breath. John Dutton stands near the fence line, staring at the endless stretch of property that once gave him strength, but now feels like a warning. He has spent his entire life protecting this land, fighting for it, bleeding for it, and burying truths inside it that were never meant to surface again. But today, the silence is broken. A black vehicle enters the ranch without permission. No warning, no call, no respect for boundaries. The dust rises behind it like a signal of trouble. Rip notices it first. His hand slowly moves closer to his belt, eyes locked on the unknown arrival. Beth steps out from the house moments later, already sensing what no one has said yet. This is not a normal visitor. The vehicle stops. The engine shuts off, and for a moment, nothing happens. Then a man steps out. He doesn't introduce himself. He doesn't smile. He simply looks at the land like he already owns part of it. His eyes carry something cold, something familiar, something dangerous. John Dutton walks forward slowly, meeting him halfway, as if he already knows this moment was inevitable. The man finally speaks, but his words don't bring answers. They bring questions. He says a name no one has heard in years, a name that was erased from records, from memory, from family history. But the moment it is spoken, everything at Dutton Ranch changes. Beth's expression tightens. Rip's hand leaves his belt, but not his tension. John doesn't react, but something inside him breaks just slightly, because that name is tied to a truth he buried long ago. The visitor doesn't come for land, he doesn't come for money, he comes for what was taken, and what was taken was never meant to be found again. Inside the ranch house, old documents are pulled out from hidden drawers, torn papers, burned edges, forgotten signatures. Everything John tried to erase is suddenly being pulled back into daylight. Beth realizes something first. This isn't just about the past. It's about exposure. Someone has been digging, someone has been watching, someone has been planning this moment for years. Outside, the stranger walks the ranch slowly, like he is remembering it instead of seeing it for the first time. Every step feels intentional. Every pause feels like he is counting something only he understands. Then he stops at a specific point on the land, and he says one sentence that changes everything. This is where it started, and this is where it ends. John's face tightens for the first time, because that spot is not just land. It is a grave. And the person buried there was never supposed to be spoken of again. The wind rises stronger now, sweeping across the ranch like it is reacting to the truth being disturbed. Rip steps forward, ready for anything, but John raises a hand, stopping him. Not out of fear, but out of recognition, because now John knows. This is not an enemy. This is a consequence. And the Dutton family is about to face something worse than a fight for land. They are about to face what the land has been holding against them all along. And as the stranger turns back toward the vehicle, he leaves one final warning without even looking at them. Every secret here will surface. Every lie will breathe again. And when it does, there will be no ranch left to protect. The engine starts. Dust rises again, and Dutton Ranch stands frozen. For the first time, not ready for what comes next. The moment the black vehicle disappears beyond the horizon, the ranch does not return to normal. It cannot. Something has already changed inside it, like a wound that has been reopened after years of pretending to heal. John Dutton stands still for a long time. Not speaking, not moving. The others wait, but no one dares to ask the question hanging in the air. Because everyone heard it. Everyone felt it. That name. Inside the house, Beth is the first to break the silence. She doesn't shout. She doesn't panic. That's not her way. Instead, she pulls out an old locked drawer hidden behind the office wall. Rip watches her, confused, until he sees her hand slightly shaking while she forces it open. Inside are documents John Dutton never wanted touched again. Old ranch records, property transfers, a faded photograph with faces partially torn out. And at the bottom, a sealed envelope marked with a date from decades ago. Beth doesn't open it immediately. She stares at it like it's alive. Outside, John finally walks in. His face is harder than stone, but his eyes tell a different story, one that even he cannot fully control anymore. Rip stands up straight the moment John enters, waiting for instructions, but John doesn't give any. Instead, he looks at Beth, and for a second, he looks older than he ever has before. Beth finally speaks the question everyone is afraid to ask. Who was he? John doesn't answer right away. The silence stretches again, heavier this time. Then he walks to the window, looking out at the land as if it might speak for him. Finally, he says, "A mistake that never stayed buried." Those words hit harder than any confession, because in Dutton Ranch, nothing is ever truly a mistake. Everything has consequences. Everything has roots. Rip steps forward slightly. Is he coming back? John doesn't answer that either, but the lack of denial says enough. Meanwhile, far away from the ranch, the stranger is not driving away randomly. He is following a path he already knows by heart. He stops at a small town motel, but instead of going inside, he makes a call. 1 ring. 2 rings. A voice answers, but we don't hear what is said. Only the stranger's reply. They remember now. Back at the ranch, Beth opens the envelope. Inside is a land deed. Not for buying, not for selling, but for reclaiming. And the name on it matches the one John refused to say earlier. Beth reads it once, then again. Her expression slowly changes from confusion to realization to anger. Because this is not just history. This is legal proof that part of Dutton Ranch was never fully theirs. Rip notices it immediately. That's not possible. But Beth doesn't look up. It's real, she says coldly. And it's been real this whole time. John finally turns from the window, and the weight in his voice becomes heavier than anything else in the room. If that document exists, then he's not here to threaten us. A pause. He's here to take it back. Outside, thunder rolls in the distance, even though the sky is still clear. The ranch seems to react again, like it recognizes the return of something it tried to forget. Beth closes the envelope slowly, and then says the line that changes the direction of everything. If he takes this land, he doesn't just destroy us. She looks at John. He exposes what you did to get it. Silence. Because now it's not just about survival anymore. It's about exposure. And at Dutton Ranch, exposure is worse than death. John finally speaks again, softer this time. Find everything about him. Every record, every trace. If he wants war, we need to know who we're fighting. Rip nods immediately. But as he turns to leave, John adds one more sentence. Quiet. Almost like a warning to himself. And make sure the past doesn't find anything else to wake up. The ranch falls into motion again. But it is no longer peace. It is preparation. And somewhere out there, the man who came back to reclaim what was taken is only just getting started. Night falls over Dutton Ranch, but there is no peace in the darkness anymore. Every shadow feels heavier, every sound sharper, like the land itself is listening. Inside the office, Rip works through old ranch archives with urgency. Papers are scattered everywhere. Decades of ownership records, forgotten legal filings, land transfers that were never meant to be questioned again. Beth stands behind him, reading over his shoulder, her eyes narrowing with every page they flip. John sits alone near the fire, but he is not resting. He is remembering things he has spent a lifetime trying to forget. Then Rip stops. He finds something. A name appears again. The same one spoken at the fence line. But this time, it's attached to something worse. A family connection buried inside old ranch documents. Rip doesn't speak at first. He just looks at Beth. And Beth understands instantly. No, she whispers. But the paper doesn't lie. The stranger is not just an outsider. He is blood. A forgotten branch of the Dutton line that was erased from history after a violent split years ago. A name removed from records. A child never acknowledged, a claim never honored, and worse, it all traces back to John Dutton himself. Beth slowly steps back from the desk, her mind connecting the pieces too fast. So that's why he knows the land, she says quietly. He didn't find it. He was born from it. Rip clenches his jaw. Why would John hide this? But Beth already knows the answer. Because Dutton Ranch was never built clean, and some truths were buried to keep it standing. Meanwhile, in a small room miles away, the stranger sits alone under a dim light. He opens a worn leather box. Inside is a photograph. Old, faded, but carefully preserved. A family standing on the very same land. John Dutton is in it. But part of the image is torn away, as if someone deliberately removed another person from existence. The stranger traces the torn edge with his finger. They didn't just take land, he whispers to himself. They erased me. Back at the ranch, John finally walks into the office. He already knows something has been found. He doesn't ask. He doesn't need to. Beth turns the paper toward him. For a moment, John doesn't react. Then his face tightens slightly. Not surprise. Recognition. Rip steps forward. You knew. John doesn't deny it. That silence is worse than an answer. Beth's voice rises, sharp now. You erased him from the family records. John finally speaks. It wasn't that simple. But Beth cuts him off. It never is with you. A heavy pause fills the room. Then John walks to the window again, staring into the darkness outside. When you protect something long enough, he says quietly, you start making choices that don't look like protection anymore. Rip steps closer. So he's your son? That question lands like a bullet. John doesn't answer immediately, and when he finally does, it's not direct. It was before I had a ranch to save. Beth's eyes narrow. So you chose the ranch over him. John turns slightly. I chose survival. The word hangs in the air like a verdict. Outside, wind moves across the fields again, stronger now. The ranch doesn't feel like home anymore. It feels like a place waiting to be judged. Then Rip says something that changes the entire direction of the conversation. If he's blood, then he's not here to negotiate. Beth finishes it. He's here to inherit. John finally closes his eyes for a second, because that is the truth he never wanted spoken aloud. The stranger isn't an invader. He is a return, a correction. And once blood returns to claim what it believes is rightfully its own, there is no easy way to stop it. John opens his eyes again, voice low but steady. Then we prepare like he's already won. But even as he says it, something inside him knows. This isn't just a fight for land anymore. It's a fight for legacy. And legacy is the one thing John Dutton may not be able to control this time. Dawn breaks over Dutton Ranch, but it brings no relief. The sky is pale, almost lifeless, as if even the morning is unsure about what it's waking up to. Inside the house, no one has slept. Beth stands at the window, arms crossed, watching the land like it might suddenly turn against them. Rip is already outside, checking the perimeter again and again, more alert than usual. John sits at the table, silent, staring at an old map of the ranch spread out in front of him. Then the phone rings. One sharp sound. Too early, too precise. Beth answers. No greeting comes from the other side, only breathing. And then a voice. The stranger. You looked into me. Beth doesn't react emotionally. You made that easy. A faint pause on the line. Then he says something that changes her expression instantly. Then you already know what you buried under Section 9. Beth's eyes flicker. Rip, watching her, immediately knows something is wrong. John stands slowly, because Section 9 is not just land, it's restricted ground. Beth's grip tightens on the phone. Stay away from the ranch. But the stranger doesn't respond to threats. Instead, he says calmly, I already opened it. The line goes dead. For half a second, no one moves. Then John speaks. No one goes there alone. Rip is already grabbing his gear. At Section 9, the land looks untouched, but only at first glance. The soil is disturbed in places. Fresh marks, tire tracks leading deeper than they should. Rip arrives first, scanning everything. Then Beth, then John, and what they see changes the air instantly. A portion of the ground has been dug up. Not fully, just enough, like someone wanted to remind them what was underneath, without fully revealing it. Beth steps closer, her voice barely controlled. This wasn't here before. Rip kneels, touching the disturbed soil. His expression shifts. This isn't recent digging. This is reopening old ground. John doesn't move closer. He already knows what's there, or what was there. Then Beth notices something half buried at the edge of the excavation. A metal tag, old ranch marking. She pulls it out and freezes because it matches records from decades ago, records tied to a missing incident that was officially closed without explanation. A death, an unmarked burial, a case that never reached paper properly. Beth slowly looks at John. You told everyone it never happened. John doesn't respond because denial is no longer possible. Rip stands slowly. What did you do, John? John's voice is quiet. I did what had to be done. Beth's eyes sharpen. That's what you always say. A distant sound cuts through the tension. A truck engine, but not approaching. Leaving. Rip turns immediately, but it's too late to chase. The stranger is already gone, but he left something behind. A folded paper, pinned to a wooden post near the dig site. Beth grabs it, opens it, and reads. Her face slowly changes. Anger, realization, then something colder. Fear. Rip steps closer. What is it? Beth doesn't answer immediately. Then she turns it so John can see. It's a copy of a confession. Old, signed. John Dutton's signature at the bottom. Rip looks at John sharply. This isn't real. But John doesn't deny it, and that silence answers everything. Beth's voice becomes dangerously calm. You didn't just bury land, John. She looks at him. You buried a crime. John finally speaks, but his voice is heavier now. It was the only way to protect what's left. Beth laughs once, sharp, broken. Protect or control? The wind picks up again, strong this time, almost angry. Rip steps between them, trying to hold the moment together. But it's already breaking, because now the truth is not just known, it's documented. And the stranger doesn't need to destroy the ranch with force, he only needs to expose it. Beth folds the paper slowly, then says the words that change everything. He's not attacking us. She looks toward the horizon. He's building a case. John understands immediately. This is no longer conflict. This is preparation for takeover. Legal, public, permanent. And worse than any gunfight. It is unstoppable if it reaches daylight. Rip speaks quietly. Then what's next? John looks at the disturbed ground one last time and answers, then we make sure the truth never leaves this land. But even as he says it, something in his voice suggests he knows. That promise may already be too late. Night falls again over Dutton Ranch, but this time it feels different. Heavier, final. The kind of silence that doesn't promise peace. It warns of ending. Inside the house, no one speaks for a long time. The paper is still on the table. The confession, the signature, the truth that was never meant to survive this long. Beth stands away from it, like even looking at it too long will pull her into something she can't escape. Rip stays near the door, restless, watching every shadow outside as if expecting the ranch itself to turn hostile. John sits at the table again, but this time he is not thinking like a man protecting land. He is thinking like a man running out of time. Then the lights flicker, once, twice, and go out. Only the dim glow of the fire remains. A phone rings again, but this time, it's not inside the house. It's outside, near the porch. Rip moves first, stepping out cautiously into the darkness. Beth follows close behind. John comes last. The phone sits on the wooden steps, still ringing. Beth hesitates for only a second, then answers. No voice this time, only a recording. And then the stranger speaks again. Calm, controlled, certain. I didn't come to destroy Dutton Ranch. A pause. I came to finish what was started before I was erased. Beth grips the phone tighter. What do you want? This time he answers immediately. Not land. Another pause. Truth? The line goes silent again, but something else happens now. A sound. distant engines, multiple. Not one vehicle this time. A convoy. Rip turns toward the horizon, eyes narrowing. John, lights appear in the distance, approaching fast. Not military, not police, legal teams, media vans, investigators, too many to be random, too organized. Beth slowly realizes what is happening before anyone says it. He filed it, she whispers. John doesn't move, because he already knows. The stranger didn't just threaten them, he activated everything. Every buried document, every sealed file, every piece of evidence tied to Section 9, the confession, the erased identity, the land dispute, all of it, now in motion. Rip steps forward. We can still stop them before they reach the ranch. But John shakes his head slowly. No. Beth turns sharply. What do you mean, no? John's voice is lower now, exhausted in a way none of them have heard before. If we stop them now, it confirms guilt. That silence hits harder than anything else tonight, because it means the system is already inside the story. And the ranch is no longer protected by distance. It is exposed. The lights get closer. Beth suddenly looks toward the dark field beyond the house. And there he is, the stranger, standing at the edge of the land,